Episode number 45. The Treville entered the king's cabinet boldly, and found his majesty in a very lume, seated on an armchair, beating his boot with the handle of his whip. This, however, did not prevent his asking, with the greatest coolness, after his majesty's health. "Bad, monsieur, bad," replied the king. "I am bored." This was, in fact, the worst complaint of Louis Roman XIII, who would sometimes take one of his courtiers to a window, and say, "Monsieur so-and-so, let us weary ourselves together." "How? Your Majesty's bored? Have you not enjoyed the pleasures of the chase today?" "A fine pleasure, indeed, monsieur. Upon my soul, everything degenerates, and I don't know whether it is the game which leaves no scent, or the dogs that have no noses. We started a stag of 10 branches. We chased him for 6 hours, and when he was near being taken, when St. Simon was already putting his own to his mouth to sound the moat, crack, all the pack takes the wrong scent, and sets off after a 2-year-old. I shall be obliged to give up hunting, as I have given up walking. I am an unfortunate king, Monsieur de Treville. I had but one falcon, and he died day before yesterday." "Indeed, sir, I only comprehend your disappointment. The misfortune is great, but I think you have still a good number of falcons, sparrowhawks, and tierces. And not a man to instruct them. Falconers are declining. I know no one but myself who is acquainted with the noble art of venery. After me it will all be over, and people will hunt with gins, snares, and traps. If I had but the time to train pupils. But there is the cardinal always at hand, who does not leave me a moment's repose, who talks to me about Spain, who talks to me about Austria, who talks to me about England. Apropos of the cardinal, Monsieur de Treville, I am vexed with you." This was the chance at which M. de Treville waited for the king. He knew the king of old, and he knew that all these complaints were but a preface, a sort of excitation to encourage himself, and that he had now come to his point at last. "And in what have I been so unfortunate as to displease your majesty?" asked M. de Treville, feigning the most profound astonishment. "Is it thus you perform your charge, monsieur?" continued the king, without directly replying to de Treville's question. "Is it for this I name you captain of my musketeers, that they should assassinate a man, disturb our quarter, and endeavor to set fire to Paris, without your saying a word? But yet," continued the king, "undoubtedly my haste accuses you wrongfully. Without doubt the writers are in prison, and you come to tell me justice is done." "Sir," replied M. de Treville, calmly, "on the contrary, I come to demand it of you." "And against whom?" cried the king. "Against calumniators," said M. de Treville. "This is something new," replied the king. "Will you tell me that your 3 damned musketeers, Athos, Porthos, and Aramis, and your youngster from Berne, have not fallen, like so many furies, upon poor Bernajoux, and have not maltreated him in such a fashion that probably by this time he is dead? Will you tell me that they did not lay siege to the hotel of the Duc de la Trémouille, and that they did not endeavor to burn it, which would not, perhaps, have been a great misfortune in time of war, seeing that it is nothing but a nest of Huguenots, but which is, in time of peace, a frightful example? Tell me, now, can you deny all this?"